So once we understand how to simplify irrational expressions, we can then speed up the process and start to factor the expressions right away. Identify the GCF, look at the numerator, look at the denominator, see if there are things that you can take out, factorize, whether you have a trinomial, difference of square, and we go from there. And then we will try to reduce the expressions Don't forget to state the non-permissible value. Going back to the question itself, try to identify the non-permissible values right before you reduce anything, because that's the best place to identify any non-permissible value. 4x squared plus 12 at the beginning. If you were to start from here and try to identify the non-permissible value at this point, you will still need to factor your 4, which is basically what you see from here. So why not simply identify the non-permissible value at that in this second step? 4 times it by something will give us a 0. But if this is a 4 at the beginning, it cannot be a 0. So using the 0 property, we can tell that this must be a 0. But as you try to solve for x, we can't really take the square root of a negative number. At least we can't for now. So in this case, we actually don't have any non-permissible value. Because technically, we cannot take the square root of a negative number. It is unreal. It is not a real number. Sometimes your rational expressions may come with more than one variable, like having both x and y together. We will still try to factor these expressions, try to factor the trinomial, try to factor the GCF if there is any of them, or difference of square. Once you factor your denominator, in this case, you can then reduce the expressions. You can also use the previous expressions here to identify any non-permissible value. From the denominator, you don't want your x to be negative y. From the denominator there, because you don't want this to be 0, and that means you don't want your x to be 2y over 3. That's your non-permissible value. So we are trying to solve for x to get the non-permissible value. your non-permissible values can be a variable.